Assalamu alaikum. I'm a Likaj, an angel warrior of the Midwest, and a messenger of the covenant. Representing the messenger of the covenant, the breaker of the seven seals, the self-taught one, Master Suleiman, who has given us the Injil, the gospel of revelations, with the Injil key that gives us the understanding of the unsealed scriptures. This is Up Late Update with Malik Hodge, where we take current events and give the understanding to them through the lens of the Injil, the unsealed scriptures, and give the understanding of how they fit with what's taking place in today's time. So let us begin on this 24th day, 23rd day of August, Tuesday. Let us begin with we're going to begin with a COVID-19 story, vaccinations. Mm. Right. Okay, might have to. No, we're good. Okay, just further down the line. Damn. Okay, let's do it like this. Oh well, for some reason it's not letting it come up. So no problem. We'll scratch that one and continue. No problem whatsoever. We have plenty of things to talk about. All right. Just everything for me. Everything right here. And I can't see anything. All right. So we're just gonna go with guess we're gonna start with our meat. All right. U.S. military carries out strike in Syria on Iran-linked targets. The strikes came as the U.S. armed to response to a draft agreement proposed by the EU that would bring back the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran. The U.S. military said it carried out air strikes on Tuesday in Syria. Dar al-Zor against facilities used by groups affiliated with Iran, Elite Revolutionary Guards Corps. The strikes came even as the United States armed to respond to the draft agreement proposed by the European Union that would bring back the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran that former President Donald Trump abandoned and current President Joe Biden has sought to revive. The military central command said in a statement that such strikes were aimed at protecting U.S. forces from attack by Iran-backed groups. It cited one such incident on August 15th, which Reuters has reported involved drone attacks and on a compound ran by coalition and U.S. backed Syrian opposition fighters with no casualties. The president gave the direction for those strikes, said spokesman Army Colin Joe Buccino. Central Command called the strikes a proportionate deliberate action intended to limit the risk of escalation and minimize the risk of casualties. The statement about Tuesday U.S. strike did not mention whether there was any casualties and did not say whether the airstrike was carried out by manned or unmanned aircraft. History of U.S. operations in Iraq and Syria. This is not the first time U.S. warplanes have struck Iran-backed forces in Iraq and Syria. The United States hit operational and weapons storage facilities at 2 locations in Syria and 1 in Iraq in June last year. U.S. forces first deployed into Syria during the Obama administration campaign against Islamic State, partnering with Kurdish group called the Syria Democratic Forces. There are about 900 U.S. troops in Syria, most of them in the east. But the Iran-backed militants established a foothold in Syria while lingering in support of President Bashar al-Assad during Syria's civil war. Iranian-backed militants are heavily concentrated west of the Euphrates in Deir al-Zor province, where they get supplied from Iraq through the al-Bukamil border crossing. So that story. So the U.S. struck Iranian backed coalitions in Syria. Now, and this is taking place while this happened on Tuesday, today. And this is happening while they're working on or trying to revive the 2015 nuclear agreement. They're saying that they're hitting installation or areas to where they're storing weapons, and this is a hit to deter them from attacking American soldiers. However, we have to keep looking at this because America is in Syria. Syria is not in America. America has went into their country taking oil, then set up a military base in Syria. Without the permission of the Syrian government, the Syrian president. They're not wanted in Syria. However, America does what they want to do, and that's what they're doing. This airstrike, they say, was to keep them from attacking American-backed troops. So keep in mind what's about to blow this war in the Middle East. As we see these strikes, and these strikes are not taking place these strikes are occurring in a time that they're supposed to be working out the kinks in this nuclear agreement. However, what is taking place is they're preparing America, false Israel. They're preparing to go to war. They're starting to see that this JCPOA is possibly not going to be signed. However, we know it's not going to be signed. However, they're starting to see that it's a very real possibility. And that, before we go in any more depth or detail, we're going to go to our next topic. Excuse me. Okay. Because it's going to bring even more light on what's taking place. All right. Here we go. It's a no. That's it. Hmm. Okay. Iran nuclear deal. U.S. not delaying negotiations, said Ed Price. Excuse me, Ned Price. U.S. State Department spokesman Ned Price said Iran responded to the proposal text sent by the EU with several comments, and this has meant it's taken Washington some additional time to review these comments and determine our response. Washington denied on Monday suggestions it 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 is stalling a potential agreement to resurrect the nuclear deal, the Iran nuclear deal, after a final draft was circulated, but said outstanding questions remain. The notion that we have delayed this negotiation in any way is just no truth. It's just not true. So, State Department spokesman Ned Price, after the EU sent the proposal text to both Tehran and Washington in late July, Iran responded with several comments, Price said, without being specific. This is why it has taken us some additional time to review these comments and to determine our response of our own, he said. We are seriously renewing those comments. Earlier Monday, EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell, who is leading the efforts to bring the United States and Iran together in agreement, suggested Washington was not now slowing the process. There was an Iranian response that I considered reasonable to transmit to the United States, he said. The United States had not formally replied yet, but we are waiting for their response, and I hope that response will allow us to finish the negotiation. I hope so, but I can't assure you of it. Price in Washington was encouraged, but the fact that Tehran appears to have dropped an earlier demand that to complete a deal, the United States removed its formal designation uh, of the Islamic Revolution Republic Guards Corps as an international terrorist organization. That was one of the issues that has appeared to hold up progress on final agreement that was sketched out in March. However, Price added, there are still some outstanding issues that must be resolved, some gaps that must be bridged if we are able to get there. We emphasize that the exchange of prisoners with Washington is separate issues, and it has nothing to do with the process of the negotiation to revive the 2015 pact, said the Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman. We are working quickly as we can put together the appropriate response to the Iranian paper, he said. Now, okay, hold up. Mm. Okay. Now, Tehran denies making concessions on probes. Beryl says deal signature waiting on U.S. response. A nuclear deal with Iran will not be implemented as long as the International Atomic Energy Agency continues to investigate undeclared nuclear sites. A spokesman for the Islamic Republic negotiator team said Tuesday. No deal will be implemented before the IE Board of Governors permanently closes the false accusations file. Saeed Mohammed Marindi tweeted, Iran's nuclear program will not be dismantled. He also wrote, even though that was not reported to be part of the deal. The Iranian representative made the statement in response to Reuters report that Iran had dropped its demand to close the probe. Iran did not commit on IAEA investigations in its response to the latest draft of the nuclear deal. When it sent to the EU last week, Okay. Of course, this doesn't mean Iran won't cooperate to help close the case. Morandi said in a statement tweeted. A day earlier, the IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi said his agency would not end the investigation into traces of enriched uranium found in undisclosed locations, with Iran corporates. Iran has not given us the technically responsive explanation that we need to explain the origin of many traces of uranium, the presence of equipment at places, he told CNN. So, okay. So, Iran said there will be no deal with this ongoing investigation that the IAEA is carrying out, and Ned Price came and spoke. He shared that there will not be a deal. They're not going to drop that. They're backing the IAEA 100%. And if Iran doesn't give the technical understanding of why or where these traces of uranium in undisclosed areas came from, that they're going to pursue this investigation. And Iran is saying that, they dropped getting their guards, the Revolutionary Guards, off the terror list. However, they're saying that they're not going to sign anything with this taking place. And America said they're backing the IAEA. So this is another hold up, and it looks like it's another impasse that neither side will give on. There's another issue with Biden giving a security or sending some to the Senate to give Iran a security or on making this deal, because any other can come right in. Any other president can come right in. Any other administration can come right in and cancel this deal out, just like Donald Trump. And Iran will be the one that will lose in that. There's no they're not getting any type of insurance or any type of definite that America is going to keep to the deal. They don't. It's not going in any type of writing that will cause or make this agreement pass or be able to stick or stay in place if another administration came in. So it's you have to trust America deal when America ended the deal the first time. So all this to say, it's not looking good for America in this deal. But from the Israel perspective, we know that Iran is not going to accept this deal. It's too much in asking or getting rid of all your protection, all the things that would bring an insurance of security to your country and to your countrymen, and you're supposed to just give it up and trust in America and trust. False Israel wants to do all the way away with the whole agreement, and America is backing false Israel 100%. And before we even go any further with this, we're gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna wrap it up with because I have one more, and this is on false Israel. So all these things with America, this Iran, the JCPOA, these things are all connected. So we're going to connect the dots with these things, and after I bring this last report from false Israel, that what's taking place there. Palestinian Islamic Jihad met with Hamas leader in the Gaza Strip after growing tensions between the two that kept Hamas from joining in the last hostilities with false Israel earlier this month. The two has mended out their problems and have made an agreement in a declaration to achieve Palestinian interests, and the chief goal is to take down the Zionist state. Hezbollah has stated in the event of the nuclear agreement being signed, that will not stop the region from going to war. Hezbollah has also stated that they're out to destroy the Zionist state. And if Hezbollah doesn't get what it is asking for, and what is that? Then they're going to go to war. However, False Israel is pushing on Operation Wastebreaker. They're picking up possible, or what they call possible, terrorists. So basically anyone, as they go through the corridors of Palestine and Palestinian corners where Palestinians live at, basically apprehending all the males that fit a certain description. False Israel has went in and closed 7 different Palestinian not businesses, but Palestinian agencies that help Palestinians. They give food, different type of different types of aids. That's these different agencies give aid to Palestinians in different ways, but they all been shut down by 7 of them been shut down by False Israel, claiming that they are terrorists or helping terrorist organizations. Now, America and other UN agency, UN speakers said False Israel has not given any information that can secure their claims, sustain their claims that they're making about these groups, and that America and these other countries are going to keep funding these groups. False Israel didn't make a statement, said, hey, y'all can do what y'all can do what they want to do. But there's a war there. False Israel is already prepping in this Operation Wastebreaker. They're shutting down assistance to Palestinian people. They're basically in what would you say? They're basically already started an infrastructure assault on the Palestinians, trying to pull out all the possible close and present dangers. So they're going through basically pulling out all the men, the young men and men that fit a certain description, and if they're look like they're going to stand up for their people, then they're what they're calling a possible terrorist. So they're already making moves, pushing through Palestinian areas, basically pulling out would-be soldiers. So they're moving and preparing in this an inevitable battle that is going to take place real soon. So false Israel is not concerned with the backlash. As you can see, they won't even give an explanation. False Israel keeps their position in saying that they retain the right to protect false Israel and its people, and they're going to do that regardless of how anyone else feels. So with this, you can see how things are being prompt or prepped. In the event of Iran not signing the nuclear agreement, they are making sure that they're all on the same page. America, false Israel, all their alliances are being given the information, and they're passing the information and making pure decisions, so everyone will be on the same page because they're prepping. And that's why America is making airstrikes on one end of Syria, and it's, you can see it's just shaping up what it's going to be. From the players in the Middle East. So the JCPOA is the focus of, it's the main focus of the Middle East right now, because it's the trigger to the impending war. Because as soon as the JCPOA is not signed and it's known that it's failed, then that's when immediately at that time the war in the Middle East is going to break out, and Michael and his angels, which is Master Farad Muhammad, and Iran and Syria is going to strike first. So it's already been planned of what's going to take place, and they're going back and forth, and also saying that Iran is still occupying and running their nuclear facility and still pushing their uranium. They're still enriching their uranium as they're working on the nuclear agreement. So that's what's to take place in the Middle East. So knowing that any day, at any time, this war can break out. Any day, at any time. And that's what you're seeing. And Hezbollah, Hamas, Palestine, what they say, the Houthis, and other groups that are in Iraq, the Shia Muslim groups that are in Iraq and in Syria. All these groups are preparing to go to war and take out the Zionist state. So that's what we're looking at. Let me see our time. Whew. Before we go, no, I bet it's already 52 minutes. No, can't get into it. However, that's the report for this evening. That's the exclusive. This is what's taking place right now. This JCPOA, what's taking place in false Israel, what's America airstriking on Syria. So it's heating up in the Middle East, and any day, this war will break out. It's called the Abomination of Desolation, and then that will be the shock of the hour. We have to keep in time and on time with these events and where they weigh in real time, and what they're how they're going to affect the world, and how they're going to affect the world. So these events, this event is the most pressing because it's the trigger to the war in the Middle East, which that war is the trigger to the war of Armageddon. Now, this abomination of desolation, Michael and his angels going to war with the dragon and his angels, Michael and his angels, or Iran and Syria, that will go to war with the dragon and his angels, which is the House of Saud, Saudi Arabia, Britain in America, and false Israel. So the outcome of this will be the House of Saudi Arabia being removed from the Middle East, removed. America and Britain being removed from the Middle East, false Israel being sieged and then destroyed. And that is going to be the shock of the hour, because no one is going to expect or think that Iran and Syria could actually defeat and remove Saudi Arabia, Britain and America, and siege false Israel and destroy it. No one is going to, is that those that are against or are not in harmony with the Injil don't see that. However, everyone is going to find out or see the outcome, and when they see that, they're going to be shocked. That's why it's called the shock of the hour. And it's going to cause people to lose their mind. A lot of people's heads going to explode. Hearts are going to explode from aneurysm, heart attacks, stroking out, because it's going to be an unbelievable event, and it's going to give the understanding of exactly who the true seed of Abraham is. So it's going to cause it's going to shock the world to find the truth that Elijah Muhammad and the messenger of the covenant has been sharing with us, that we are the true seed of Abraham, and then everyone is going to see that fact. So that is going to be the shock of the hour. So we're going to bring this segment to a close, and we'll be here tomorrow at 11 o'clock Central and 12 o'clock Eastern and 9 o'clock Pacific. And as I came, we want to greet you in the greeting words of peace, of Assalamu alaikum.